Hi, Rasguedo here. That's my shortened version of Malaguena. Inspired by Roy Clark, in my case. The title Malaguena is used as a lot of song titles, but Malaguena, the flamenco version, if you will, is actually a form. And it's distinguished, their main form for the dancing and all the banging around that they do, that's called fandango, which might remind you of his ZZ Top album. The Malaguena is like a fandango, except the timing changes. So it's not particularly good for dancing. They don't use it for dances. It's more for showing off and stuff like that, and just building excitement, because it changes in dynamics a lot, and it changes in tempo a lot. So if you go around looking up flamenco, real flamenco players playing Malaguena, some of them will use the parts that I'm doing today, and some of them won't do anything close whatsoever. There's a guy, famous flamenco guitar player, Carlos Montoya, in South America, and I found his version, and it was just like completely incomprehensible compared to what I've been doing. But what I was doing is pretty watered down, pretty standard. Once again, Roy Clark was my influence. Another guy, Esteban, used to be a popular guy, had his own brand of guitars, played a lot of Spanish flamenco type stuff. So anyway, that's how I do it. And I'd like to show that to you today. And it's actually much simpler than maybe it appears in the beginning. I stayed tuned in G, although normally it's done in E. So G, D, G. And there's two techniques you need to play the song, besides a basic strum, is a forward roll. And that is simply your thumb on the low string, and then your first finger and your second finger. Now in the version I'm going to show you today, we're going to play both of the next notes on the high string, like that. And the next technique is called Rasguedo, and that is where you brush down and back up with your nails, like that. And you'll find if you're playing this kind of music and during the piece, I find anyway, the longer you play the piece, the better your Rasguedo gets, sort of thing. Because it's a pretty tricky thing to get just right, especially on the three strings. You don't have that extra motion to really build it up, eh? But it works. So the rest of this song is just parts, and they're sped up and slowed down and done with Rasguedo or not. That's all. So part one is open, first fret, third fret, first fret, open. If you want it to sound more Spanish, you can actually just use the bottom and middle string, and then the high string open. I didn't do that in the demo because it does grate on some people's ears who haven't heard that kind of sound. Because it is a bit of a discord, you know, to some people. I don't mind it, but I listen to a fair amount of flamenco. So anyway, that's part one. Part two is the main riff, and the bottom part of that main riff is 0, 4, 7 twice, and then 5, 8, 7, 5, 3, 1, open. And what we're going to do, sometimes I play that with one finger, sometimes I play it with more fingers. It depends. I think when I get going faster, I use more fingers. But here I'm just going to do it with one finger, and in between, with my first finger, I'm going to pick the high string, like that. That's it. That's all there's to it. And you can just stick with the two-finger style too. It'll sound pretty good. But if you want it to sound a little more Spanish, then do the 2 strings, like this. Not like that. Like that. And you can play all 3 strings if you wish. I think it sounds better if they're separated, but that would sound like this. To me, that sounds not as clear as the other way. But you could do it, because in actual fact, on a 6-string guitar, they would play the 2 different notes, not the same note all the time. So that takes care of riff 2. Riff 3 is 0, 1, 3, 1, 0. And then you hit the open G chord. Then the next part of that lick is 0 on the middle string, 3, 1, 0, 1. And there you hit the 5. If you can't make it to the 5, and I'm not now I can't remember what I did in the demo, you can also just hit the 1. It's not actually the right chord, but it'll sound okay. Like that. Or, you know, whichever one you like better. It's not bad if you can get up here though, because the next run is that's on the low string, 5, 4, 5, 0 on the middle, 1, 0, 5 on the low, 4, 1, open. And this is interesting too, because this note is actually in the Spanish flamenco scale. It's not a 7-note scale, it's an 8-note scale. That's what's actually called the Spanish minor. Just in case you wanted to know that, in case there's a quiz later or something. So, that's the third part. And once again, you usually start slow and speed it up. That's the customary thing to do. Now, the last part, and by the way, I'm calling them first, second, and third, and I play them that way. But in reality, a flamenco guitar player, and which I'm not, but would go back and forth to these parts, return and revisit them and take them to a higher level each time, or a lower level. It can be quite a long piece of music, actually. But what I'm calling part 4, which I use to end it, is just simply, in this case, C, B flat, A flat, and G. And I use it with Rasguedo, so there's no point now really writing out Rasguedo, because, you know, it's kind of tricky. So you can do those chords with Rasguedo. And you can bring that up as fast as you can, or you can switch to the rhythm I switched to at the end there. So the rhythm to that, once you're not doing the Rasguedo, is 1, and then 2 is spread out, like kind of like a 16th note triplet, and then up, and then up, down, up. And of course that was just fret 1 and open. So I hope you have a lot of fun with that, and don't feel like you have to do it exactly how I did it. Every Malaguena is different, and every time you hear a recording live of somebody who's known for playing Malaguenas, you'll notice that they play it different every single time. And if you're into flamenco guitar, there's a guy you can check out called Manitas De Plata. It means hand of silver. I think he's passed away now, but he spent his whole life, up until actually quite recently, living in a gypsy caravan in Spain, going around, and he was considered the king of the gypsies after Django Reinhardt died. And he went around and played all over the place. Very, very interesting story. You guys have a great day. Bye.